Hoping everybody had a wonderful weekend this weekend. There was so much news out there, but I only got a couple minutes, so I'm just going to touch on a few things. This video goes out to Cousin Vinny. He is in one of my groups. Captain Matt Bruce's Third Watch radio show has a private group, and he reminded me that I hadn't posted a video in a little while, and he was looking forward to seeing it. So, Cousin Vinny, this is for you. Anyway, let's see what we got going on. Okay, so of course we got the coronavirus and then the madness that's going on behind it. Now I want to point out, and while I do not know all the answers, I like to ask the questions. And I like to ask, who is this benefiting? How is this agenda, if it played out, what would happen? And is there something else going on behind the scenes that we're not aware of? So I'd like to ask all those questions because I do have some ideas of what we call in the Q world the white hats and the black hats. The white hats, of course, are the good guys, which is, I believe, is the leadership in the United States, the military. All these people who want to see America returned and restored back to its sovereign greatness. And then we have the black hats, which would include the deep state, the leftist Democrats, and all these different people who want global. They have a global interest, and that goes so wide and deep. But anyway, so let's go back, because the reason why I brought it up is because there was a report that came out yesterday that there was some leaked documents for a presentation or something like that. And let me see if I can find it, because I have a lot of interesting things that's come out yesterday, I discovered yesterday. But anyway, in this document, it stated that they were looking to millions and millions of people were going to be affected by this virus. Oh, here we go. U.S. hospital prepares for 500,000 deaths, leaked paper shows. Well, first of all, before I start panicking and taking this hook, line, and sinker, I want to find out who the paper is, who's the source, and do they have any links to the deep state and the black hats. So, let's see. And so we find out in this article, the one that I saw was from Daily Mail. U.S. hospitals are preparing for 96 million coronavirus infections and nearly 500,000 deaths, leaked document revealed. So first of all, if they mention leaked documents or leaked information or anonymous sources, then that sends up a red flag for me, because I'm like, yeah, anybody can leak something. It doesn't mean it's accurate. It just, and it can be intentionally leaked. The deep state can intentionally leak something to put misinformation out there and put fear. And ultimately, I believe that this is the deep state trying to cause our economy to crumble so that Donald J. Trump can be defeated in the election, because they have mentioned it over and over again. That's the only way they even have a half of a shot of defeating the president, is if the economy takes a nosedive. So I think there might be multiple things going on at the same time. I think that there is some information warfare going on, there is some biological warfare going on, and there's also some military covert operations going on, all at the same time. Because I believe, just from a lot of stuff that Q has said and stuff, that we have their plans ahead of time. Because, he says this over and over, NSA can be used both ways. The FISA thing can be used both ways. Meaning, and there's a lot of speculation that we have their game plan. And so if we allow them to use it, but we have co-opted it, then we're turning what they meant for evil into good. Okay? So, anyway. All right, so it says almost 500,000 Americans are expected to die from the coronavirus. This is in this article. And it says they show the spread of the deadly disease could be far worse than officials claim, with the crisis 10 times greater than the severe flu. Well, maybe they put that out there because we've been showing how crazy their media coverage over the few deaths with the coronavirus versus the average every year annual death rate of the last few emergency flu epidemics they've had conveniently every year that there was an election. But you know what, that I digress. Okay, let's get back to this article. So anyway, so of course it's full of fear mongering. Of course it's going to make the president look like he's not doing enough for the country. All right, anyway, so when I start scanning through it, I discovered that these slides were obtained by Business Insider. So I decided to go and find out who owns Business Insider, because if I knew that this source came from, or this article originally came from the New York Times, I would definitely be like, red flags, because they have been proven over and over again to put out misinformation, false stories, through anonymous sources, through leaked information that have been time and time been proven to be inaccurate or deliberately misleading. So that, or the Wall Street, the Washington Post or whatever. So I always go back to see, where did the first article come from? Well, in this case, it was, let's see if I lost my place. From this, come on. It came from, there we go, the Business Insider. Okay, so then I tracked down Business Insider, and I went to WikiLeaks. I mean, not WikiLeaks, that's a whole other story, but to Wikipedia. So you can find this out yourself. So the Business Insider reported the leaked papers. Jeff Bezos, oh yes, the guy that just was running for president, or maybe he's still in it. I don't know if he got out or whatever. Maybe he is. Maybe he's one of the ones that dropped out. Was an owner of this paper. And then he went into partnership with Axel Springer SE, who eventually they bought him out, but they were partners for a while. Okay? And now this organization, Axel Springs SE, now owns 100% of the Business Insider. And you find out that the parent company is Insider Inc. Anyway, and its current CEO is Mathis Döpfner, who is also a Bilderberger member, steering committee member. And also this company owns the Federation of German Newspapers. Now, I'm sorry, but first of all, we got some very contentious relationships with Germany and that, and the EU, because of all this, Britain and exiting the EU, and we're supporting Britain, and things don't, to me, I'm like, how would they like to spin this? If they're upset because we're supporting the Iranian people in Iran, and UK has a lot of losses that they are going to experience because if the Iranian government is taken out of power, because there's a lot of deals going on behind the scenes that were put into place back in when the Obama administration was there. Lots of deals that a lot of people are going to lose a lot of money if the Iranian people stand up and get these this regime overthrown, and of course the breakup of the EU. There's a lot of fallout because of what the President of the United States is doing. We are taking our economy back. We are taking our financial interests back. We are breaking deals that have been made with the devil, basically, for these different countries from former administrations. There's a lot of damage that what is going on with the president and the Q and the white hats are doing globally. I know one of the goals of this presidency is to take our economy, take our financial structure out of the hands of the Federal Reserve, which is centralized banks that were originally set up in Europe, and basically just about every country is somehow connected to the central banks. He's unhinging us from those systems so that we can stand alone and autonomous and grow and have a successful nation without strings are being pulled by these, finances. Follow the money. They will control whoever's paying the bills gets to dictate what goes on in the different countries. And so he is taking back our nation from these strongholds. And so, I'm sorry, it looks a little suspicious when you have the owner of this newspaper putting out this information, and they have vested interest in the collapse of, or the appearance of the collapse of the United States economy to get our president out of office. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff going on in the backgrounds. So I don't take what I see on the front page as hook, line, and sinker, because I know that there is so much more going on behind the scenes that we're not aware of. So that makes me suspicious of that article, okay? So, do your own research, do your own homework. Just think logically and think critically, Just think about it. Does this make sense? I may be all wrong. So you need to go do your own homework. But all I know is it's suspicious that the newspaper that produced this report was owned by Jeff Bezos, who is obviously on the leftist side because he was running for the presidency, and he on the Democratic side, and he has a lot of vested interest in taking back this country from our president. So, okay, so we got that going on. And let's see what else is going on, because I got to hurry up, because I always make these reports right before I have to go to work. Anyway, let's see. I see that there was a bill introduced by Josh Hawley announcing bill to reduce U.S. reliance on Chinese medical supply chain. Well, partly what is happening because of this coronavirus is that we are taking ourselves, off of the dependency of China import-export. And it's also being transferred over to India, who we have a great relationship, and we don't have a lot of backroom deals that were made by previous administrations. So I see that a lot of stuff is being shifted underneath the surface that we're not paying attention to because they're so busy talking up this fear over the coronavirus. So a lot of things are shifting on the international stage. Not only that, is that, like I said, the president's, I think, ultimate goal is to get us off of dependence on other nations and the centralized bank and stuff like that, including the oil, because oil runs the world. And who is in control of the oil? OPEC. And now we've got the Saudi Arabians there is a big old conflict between OPEC and the Saudi Arabia. And then we got Saudi Arabia officials that are being arrested. Saudi prince detained senior members of royal family. So there's a shakeup going on over there. And I do believe that there were people in power from the deep state over there in Saudi Arabia. And I think there's other people that have been freed from that. So there's a shakeup in that government going on too. See, this whole deep state thing, this is global. It's not just the United States. We're just taking the leadership of breaking their strongholds on the globe. It's happening in every country. If you see these yellow jackets I was watching a video the other day, these yellow jackets, these yellow vests, in France, they got this riots going on, the yellow vests, those are the citizens trying to free themselves from this oppressive deep state global government that has tried to take over the globe. And you see it in all the different nations, not just in France, but you're seeing it across the globe, because this is a global war. We are doing it for America's best interest, but it's not America only, it is the globe. And you're seeing it happen in every nation. You're seeing people rise up against their oppressive governments and the taxation and the global agenda that's going on. So don't, you got to stay strong, because we're going to win. We're going to win, but we cannot cave into fear. We cannot cave into the media-controlled narratives. We have to research stuff for ourselves and wake up. Wake ourselves up. Wake your neighbors up. Wake people around you up, because this is much bigger than just one election. This election is huge, but it is about the future of our children and our grandchildren. It's about the future of, the evil that this deep state is involved in will make your stomach turn. It would make you sick. You'd not be able to sleep if you knew all the stuff that they're doing. And you need to educate yourself and be aware, because this is not a coincidence. Everything is connected. There is an evil force, and the white hats are in control. We are going to win. We are taking them down. We're cutting off their sources. They're cutting off because when President Trump, he first came into office, remember, he did an executive order. Basically, anybody that's any way connected with the sex trafficking or human trafficking or anything like that, their assets have been frozen. Do you know how many people in high places that their assets have been frozen? That is why they're weakening. He's weakening them, but he's cutting off their sources. He's cutting off their sources of supply of children. Yes, children that have been shipped in from different countries. He's cutting off their transportation. He's cutting off their financial resources. He's cutting off their media, their communications. He's doing so much. And not just the president, but all the men and women that have stood behind him. This is a military operation. I don't care, how many people try to make us out to be crazy. There is a military operation, international thing going on to bring down this stronghold of sex trafficking, human trafficking, this, gun trafficking, drug trafficking, all this stuff. That's why, and this whole coronavirus is been used. I'm not saying that we made it happen, but we're taking what the enemy meant for harm and turning it around for good. Is being used to shut down borders. And when we shut down borders and shipping and different kinds of travel, that is preventing the bad guys from moving their commodity. I'll say that's a nice word for child trafficking, human trafficking, or drugs or guns or whatever. But it's making it more difficult for them to be able to ship their commodities to where they need them to go. And so there's so much else going on. And So I would just trust the plan. There is a plan in place. And I will tell you, because I just found it the other day, last night, that 2 years ago, February 10th, 2018, there was a Q drop that mentioned Corona. It says, seals are wonderful creatures. Heard they work fast at capturing their prey. And then it says in capital letters, prey, P-R-A-Y. Silence is golden. Corona offline. DEAC. I don't know what that means. That's a code. Games are fun. So, and I'm not saying that this is exactly what it means because I am not in the inside, but seals are wonderful creatures. Well, SEALs could also be referring to our Navy SEALs or high-ranking military secret or, operations. They're wonderful creatures. Heard they work fast at capturing their prey. Well, maybe in this environment, this panic environment, there is some detainments being done under the radar. They're going in and capturing these deep state operatives. So, I don't know. We will see. Hopefully we will find out a lot more in the coming days. Silence is golden. Silence is golden. Well, there's been a silence on the Q boards. We haven't heard anything in at least 10 days, 10 or more days. So that silence, when we hear silence, that means sometimes it goes dark. And also there is maybe a belief that maybe some internet interruptions will happen because they're because while we use this to inform you and we have communication, the deep state also uses it for communication. So, I don't know. We'll see. Corona, offline. So Corona, I believe, is referring, and this was in 2018, before we had any idea how big this Corona scare was going to get. It was mentioned in this Q drop. Offline, that could be that the communication, the internet's going to be shut down for a little while. We'll see. Games are fun. So I don't know what that means other than the what's going on in the media is it's an information war. And so, they put out something, we can turn around and put something else out, and it's a war. It's an information war. And so, I don't know. But anyway, it was interesting that this was posted 2 years ago before anybody. I mean, yeah, coronavirus is a category of viruses. All these other flus in the past are coronaviruses. But the specific one that we are panicking about, or the world's panicking about, is the coronavirus from the Wuhan, which is suspicious in its nature because there's so much about that is unexplained. So we will see. But anyway, ask questions. Don't just take things hook, line, and sinker, because you could be missing a whole lot, or you could be swept into that fear and just panic and do crazy things. And I know that we are all worried about the stock market and stuff, but I believe my little mind is thinking that what's happening is we are being transitioned from the power structure of the deep state and the central banks or whatever into another financial structure that is more for the benefit of America and all the nations, that they have healthy economies that is what do you call it? It's their economy. They are not dependent on another country or whatever, because then that's when power and control can manipulate the stock markets and manipulate the economies across the world and stuff. So I think they're making us more autonomous so that we can thrive on ourselves in our own right, and not be dependent on what happens in the Middle East with the oil, or what happens in China, or what happens or whatever. So I think in a way this is probably going to be a transition period from one financial standard to another. Could it be gold? We've been talking about we could be put back on the gold standard. That's been mentioned multiple times, and the president is in support of that. So anyway, we will see. All right, I gotta go because I gotta go to work. My boss is gonna, hopefully he'll be okay. So I will talk to you later. Y'all have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you soon. This is SuzyQ signing out. Bye-bye.